These are the next 3 movies to appear in the Sonic franchise. So Sonic 3 was a massive hit both critically and commercially, as many regard it as one of the best video game adaptations of all time. We've come so far since we've seen Sonic look like this.
Meow?
With Sonic 3 being such a big hit, they have already confirmed Sonic 4 is right around the corner. Truth be told, we're probably going to be getting a lot of Sonic movies in the future. There's so much juicy Sonic lore to pull from that the movies just haven't even touched yet. Plus, these movies make a boatload of money for Paramount, and I don't think they want to let that go anytime soon. So what we're going to do is try and predict the next trilogy of Sonic movies, and give a rough idea of what they could potentially be about. Also including spin-off shows, because we know this is how they do the Sonic lore. With that being said, this is going to feature full spoilers to the Sonic movies. I will also be spoiling a handful of Sonic games, so be wary of that as well, as we'll be putting together an outline of the future of Sonic movies, what threats he'll face, who will become a friend versus a foe. But before I get into that, let me know in the comment section below, what did you think of Sonic 3 if you saw the movie? As someone who played Sonic Adventure 2 religiously growing up, this movie became everything I could possibly want it to be. Focus more on our main characters while giving our human characters important roles to play. Plus, seeing Shadow and Sonic duke it out on the big screen, little kid me would not believe what he's experienced. I might have thought that this was the greatest movie of all time. And while you're down there, please be sure to hit that like button. Helps out the channel and keeps me making videos, so thank you for that. So for laying out the plots for our future Sonic 4, 5, and 6, we have to take a look at where we are now, both from an in-lore perspective as well as a how can I make the most money perspective. Remember, the goal of these movies is to cater to the general audiences as often as possible. While the Sonic movies are good and respect the source material, there becomes a point where certain Sonic aspects might alienate current audience members. And these studio executives definitely know that. They don't want to introduce anything that might throw off their precious bag. Then there's also the Jim Carrey situation, where he's talked about retiring on and off through various interviews, and we're not exactly sure if he's returning to this role, but in the case of Dr. Eggman, he's a character that you can't really exile from these films. Not only because people love Jim Carrey and his performances in these movies, but because in most Sonic stories, Eggman is always a part of it. He may not be the bad guy always, but he's always present, often triggering the main threat of the game with his science. So I do think Eggman will continue to be an important part of the story moving forward, potentially with Jim Carrey if they continue to pay the right dollar. And lastly, the movies we have seen so far are loose adaptations of the older games. So while it may take some lore from the games, they just kind of do their own thing with it. But I think it's enough to lay down the groundwork for our future trilogy. Let's start with Sonic 4. So this is the movie we know the most about. Based on the end credits of Sonic 3, we know that Amy Rose is going to appear, as well as a version of Metal Sonic with multiple copies. There's also been word that this movie will focus on time travel. Now, time travel isn't exactly something new to the Sonic lore. We got Sonic CD, where it focuses on Sonic jumping back and forth between time. This is also the debut of when we got Amy and Metal Sonic in the games. Metal Sonic even appears in a flash of lightning similar to the Terminator movies, which were about a machine being sent back to the past to take out someone, because their sheer existence is a threat to the future they are planning, seeming like Sonic 4 will be taking inspiration from the storyline. I do think they're going to contain the plot of Metal Sonic into a single movie, mainly because they open with a bunch of regular Metal Sonics. It's likely there's a bigger version out there, a much bigger threat, and that version will be the final baddie of this movie. I'm imagining there will also be a lot of references to Sonic Heroes, especially if that final version of Metal Sonic turns out to be Metal Overlord. This was the final boss of Sonic Heroes and is one of the most dangerous versions of Metal out there. I imagine this Amy Rose was sent here to protect Sonic from these machines, and this version of Metal Sonic is the one responsible for sending all of those out there. In the Sonic lore, Metal Sonic was made by Dr. Robotnik. The easy one is that Robotnik is back and he made the machines with one of Sonic's quills. If they decide no Eggman, I like the idea of Stone taking the Doctor's mantle. So distraught by the loss of his boss, he carries out his work in his memory. I think it works too because Metal Sonic is definitely the main bad guy, so having Stone act as the secondary antagonist could work, especially because this is a character we're familiar with already. Big thing too, they have to reference Sonic Boom in this movie. No, not this one, but the intro. It could be played during one of the scenes in this movie, or maybe we could get a remake of this sequence here. Regardless, Sonic Boom needs mandatory attendance here. I also dig the idea that Sonic is the one with a crush on Amy this time around. Game Sonic wanted very little to do with her romantically, which is why I think it's great to flip the script here, mainly because this is a version of Sonic that is still growing up. He's starting to get to that age, and wow, a girl finally shows up and saves his butt? I'm here for the Sonic Sip era if they decide to lean into that. So here's a rough outline. Act 1, Amy appears and informs Sonic of the dark future that's coming. She's aware of what happens because they lean into her fortune-telling abilities. Act 2, Sonic and his friends are potentially ripped from their own timeline to this dystopian one. There's no nature, only industrialism and death. And in Act 3, Sonic confronts Metal Overlord, defeats them, and then returns back to their own time. Easy peasy. Now, this is when things start to get a little bit interesting. So the end credits of the Sonic movies have always revealed which characters are are next. Sonic 1 showed off Tails, Sonic 2 revealed Shadow the Hedgehog, and Sonic 3 gave us Amy Rose. I'm imagining whatever character appears at the end of the next movie has to be fairly popular, or at least something that would interest people to look into Sonic 5. Now, who is left in the Sonic roster to choose from? If I had a choice, I think ending Sonic 4 with the introduction of Chaos is the way to go. From a general audience perspective, they'll know a bad guy when they see one. This watery and mysterious threat is hurting people hunting the Chaos Emeralds, and for Sonic fans, seeing Chaos means an adaptation of Sonic Adventure 1, which in my opinion is mandatory attendance in these movies, mainly because they skipped right into Sonic Adventure 2, and that was great, but I don't want them to miss this important part of the Sonic process. So Sonic Movie 4 will end with Chaos as the hints of the future. There are also a handful of spin-offs that I want to quickly mention. Starting with a Shadow the Hedgehog show on Paramount+. It's confirmed that he's alive at the end of Sonic 3, but I don't think he'll be appearing in a theatrical release for a while, mainly because Shadow is such a stage presence already. Bringing him around too much brings worry of how they're going to end up tackling all of these characters at once. Shadow has the most lore out of any of the characters in the Sonic mythos. There's so much to his backstory that can be explored with the TV series, talking about his relationship with Black Doom, or maybe even the identity issues with finding out that he was a clone later in Sonic Heroes. This would be a great chance to introduce other Sonic favorites like Rouge and Omega. Then of course there's the second season of Knuckles. If they do end up doing this, it would be cool to see him hunting for the Master Emerald. Maybe even Wade joins him. He's a valuable member of the Sonic team and we need him. Rouge could also appear in this show, mainly because of her relationship with Knuckles. These two are always bashing heads, so to see that on a show could be really dope. Now jumping into Sonic Movie 5. At the end of Sonic 3, it seems like our heroes have lost the Chaos Emeralds, as if the cannon had hit it out of them, blasting the emeralds across the planet. I think Sonic 5 will be a race to the emeralds before Chaos can get to them. In Sonic Adventure, Chaos is a mutated child that is consumed by anger when the Master Emerald is attacked by the Knuckles clan. Chaos is the original guardian of the Chaos Emeralds, but he was eventually sealed inside of the Master Emerald for years, eventually getting out, and he's plotting out his revenge by collecting all of the Chaos Emeralds and using them to destroy the world. I think it's a great chance to separate our main characters for a little bit, giving them their own emerald in the world that they need to hunt down in a variety of different locations around the world, similar to how the gameplay was for Sonic Adventure where everyone has their own campaign. We also get cool fights against Chaos as he's morphing from collecting all of the different emeralds. This is a great opportunity to get more lore on Knuckles' tribe. Maybe even the appearance of Tikal for a little bit would be really cool. I do think this movie is going to end with a massive battle in Station Square, similar to how the games are. Station Square this time around actually being New York City. I think it checks the mark of being the location for this final battle, and at the end of Sonic 3, we see Sonic make it all the way to New York. I just see the epic clash with the city being destroyed by Chaos, and Super Sonic, now with all of the emeralds they have located, will need to take him down to save the day. But we're gonna change things up a little bit as it leads us into the future. This comment was brought up by Little Sonic, and I think it's perfect to bridge us to the next Sonic movie. So during the clash with Chaos, they realize this beast is only after the emeralds. In order to save the world, our heroes decide to destroy the emeralds so Chaos cannot have them. This means no more hunt for the emeralds and no more Super Sonic. But the day is saved, everyone cheers, and the brutal attack of Chaos is finally over. Although this decision they made to destroy the emeralds has some implications, which leads us to the end credits of Sonic 5, as we look at two new characters looking at Sonic from a distance, seeing him destroy the emeralds. These two characters are Blaze the Cat and Silver the Hedgehog, leading Sonic Movie 6 to be an adaptation of Sonic 06. From a general audience perspective, they'll see a new white hedgehog and a new female lead. I also think that these are the last Sonic characters that can actually pull a reveal like this. I mean, I love Big the Cat as much as everyone else, but putting him in the end credit scene doesn't say much of what to expect. The end credits are there to tease what's to come, and I think Silver and Blaze are perfect candidates. Now, what is this movie even about? I want to start by saying that I'm aware that Sonic 06 is considered bad. In fact, many talk about it as one of the worst Sonic games out there, released way too early with tons of game-breaking bugs and glitches. Regardless of how that game performed both critically or commercially, this is still a game that Sega represents with pride. Even if the game is considered a flop, they treat it as part of the Sonic lore. Seeing Crisis City appear in Sonic Generations is enough proof that I need. But then you look at the recently released Shadow Generations, and there's so much Sonic 06 related content, from a stage for Shadow to run around in, to an entire boss battle with Mephiles, which is really fun. Shadow Generations might be some of the best Sonic game content out there, but that's a conversation for another time. Point is, Sega treats Sonic 06 just like the rest of the other Sonic games. It was not treated as a black sheep from the people who made it, which leads me to believe this is where our future movies are going. Then there's this whole thing with Elise and her role, and her kissing Sonic as a plot point in the game. Point is, I think they're going to be taking some parts of the game and rework others to make them a bit more general audience friendly. I just can't imagine kids seeing that movie and asking questions like, why why did that human lady kiss Sonic? I don't think that's a conversation parents want to have with their children. In Sonic 06, Elise is the princess of Soliana, and her father has sealed the flames of disaster inside of her, which is this entity that is ready to destroy the entire world. As if she were to cry, everyone is gonna die. She plays an important role in the games because she's the host of a great evil. But I think the Sonic movies would benefit in putting this great evil somewhere else, completely removing Elise from the narrative altogether. I'm thinking the Iblis trigger should begin with the events of the end of our hypothetical Sonic 5. What if Sonic destroying the Chaos Emeralds was not the right thing to do? Now, because of the destruction of the Emeralds, the future is all messed up because of this incident. Sonic breaking the Emeralds is what causes Silver and Blaze to come from the future. Mephiles being the devil on Silver's shoulders could also work with him being the main baddie. Mephiles in general is so much different than all the other Sonic movie villains we have seen, mainly because he moves in complete darkness, he's creepy, and he's just overall unsettling. But this is one of the most important aspects of Sonic 6 the movie. The one thing that they need to nail that the main games are kind of hit or miss on, they need to make Silver the Hedgehog cool. Like, Sonic and Shadow have some of the most die-hard elite fans out there, but Silver is definitely the third stepchild in the mix. If the Sonic movie can make Silver cool, it has the chance to make him a star. He's a white hedgehog from the future with telekinetic powers. You can immediately make him a threat for both Sonic and Shadow. Also, from a marketing perspective, it makes sense to have all three hedgehogs here. Seeing Sonic, Shadow, and Silver on the big screen, it would be pretty nice. Plus all the different merch they can get out there with a third hedgehog. Also, Sonic 06 has campaigns for Sonic, Shadow, and Silver. It's not strange to have this Avengers level meeting in a movie like this. Plus, with it being confirmed that Shadow was alive, I think this is when we bring him back to the movies. Ultimately, I think this is a second chance for them to get the Sonic 06 story right. Really put Silver as a front runner in the Sonic lore. And this movie ends with a final clash with Mephiles. As for the end credits of this movie, I don't think there should be any. Or at least, I don't think there should be anything that hints at the future. Rather, I would like them to take a break from Sonic movies for a while. And I hope this is something Paramount is interested in doing too. I know these movies make a crap ton of money, so why would they stop? Well, you know what else made a crap ton of money and they should have slowed down? The MCU. That was a beloved cinematic universe that ended up sticking around for way too long. There were tons of movies and TV shows that you needed to watch in order to be caught up on everything, causing a layer of isolation between many fans of the original. Plus, there's just a level of burnout that I don't want to reach. I don't ever want to be like, another Sonic movie already? Damn. I think taking a break will give us a chance to miss our Sonic friends for a bit. After a few years have passed, there's so many Sonic games out there that they can adapt into full movies. Maybe even dropping the numbered titles so we don't have to say stuff like Sonic Movie 7. Like, I imagine a Sonic Riders movie that's kind of like a Fast and the Furious movie. Or Sonic Colors, a simple concept of Sonic going into space to save some aliens. Maybe even Sonic Forces with the idea of a full Eggman takeover. Regardless, the future of Sonic has never been brighter and I'm so excited. But yes, these are my predictions for the future of the Sonic movies. Sonic 4 is an adaptation of Sonic CD and Sonic Heroes. New spin-off content focused on Knuckles and Shadow. Sonic 5 will be the Sonic Adventure movie. And Sonic 6 will be the Sonic 06 movie. These are bold claims, but I love standing on my business. But of course, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Are there some parts of Sonic lore that I might be missing? Do you see some of these happening? Others not? Let me know. And thank you all so much for watching, Sonic fans. Please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and stay awesome.